Okay, please.
Alright, let's try that stand out, mate. Which one are you going to use? Oh, that's a good one, that one. I like that. You better put it in the gear.
Right. Yeah, I reckon my bike's safe.
Probably time for a catch-up. So sitting here at Richmond, just wait the boys off. They're going on a ride. Of course, I'm not. Got basket case here, but obviously my wife and I are about 1 week away from moving house, so we're pretty well flat out at home, packing and cleaning and doing everything that you need to do ahead of moving. Just want to touch base on a couple of things. One is to give you an update on where we're at with the two bikes. So the Ducati ST3 is still being assessed. We're waiting on quotes to come back, some of which have, it looks like some of the parts are no longer available, such as the pannier. So the pannier will need to be repaired rather than replaced. The fairings and other bits that I need replacing on back order, so they're 6 to 8 weeks out of Italy. That's where we're at. We just have to live with that. We have not yet had that quote submitted to the insurer. I don't believe it may have been by the end of last week, but and that was the plan. But as far as I'm aware, the quote has not yet been submitted. Once that's approved, then they can go ahead and order these parts. And like I said, there's 6 to 8 weeks on back order. So we're still talking quite a way away. The 900 Super Sport was in a similar position, although they're moving a little bit quicker. There's not as many parts that we need for that. The main components obviously are the windscreen, which are available, and the decals. Now I'm not sure what the story is with the decals, what the availability is like on them. We're still waiting for the quote to come back from Gowanlock to the repairer. Essentially they have to paint the whole bike because of fear of it not matching, and you'll have one freshly painted side and the other side from 1996, so they're going to paint the entire bike. So we're just waiting for all of that, and again, then it'll be on, depending on how long it'll take them to get hold of these parts. So with the 900 Super Sport, they will make a start. They will begin the repairs to the fairing, etc. And then once the decals arrive, they'll simply be able to just place those and then clear coat over the whole thing. But one of the other things that I wanted to touch base about was just coming back as a response to quite a few comments. I started answering quite a lot of them, and in the end I just gave up. They were coming in too quick. But essentially, a lot of people noticed that the bike was very high on the side stand. I'm well aware of this, and it's something that I've actually touched on earlier.
Just another point, the side stand's very long, so the bike does sit up quite vertical, almost vertical when it's on the side stand on solid ground. And you just got to be aware of that, because particularly down here in Tassie where it can get quite windy, if you've got it facing the wrong way and it's sitting up a little too high, just a gust of wind, it could fall over.
So yeah, I knew that they were vulnerable on the side stand. Yes, they are very long. Yes, I've always managed it. I've never had an issue until now, which is always the case, isn't it? So will I modify the side stand? Maybe. I might. I'll have a look at it. The ground is on a bit of a downhill slope there. It's not radical, but it's enough that when you pile your jacket, your helmet and everything else on top of the bike, and you get a little bit of sag in the front suspension, that it's just enough to have it more upright than you probably would like. and then of course I leaned down and pressed on the GoPro record button, which further compressed the springs, and the whole thing fell over. Yep, so that's what I wanted to touch on about the comments. Yes, I know the stand is too long. The ST3 was a totally different kettle of fish. It was facing on quite a slope downhill. I didn't have it in gear on the side stand. As it rolled forward and the side stand kicked up, it got a bit of momentum before it crashed into that brick wall. And one of the victims of that was my helmet, so I've actually bought a new helmet. So it's a Shoei GT Air 2. Very happy with it. It's quite a light helmet, even with the GoPro on. I actually noticed quite a difference in weight once I've mounted the GoPro. I opted for the integrated Cena comms unit as well, battery pack, control, and that's the antenna on that side. It's based on the 20S, which is what I had on the AGV, but the functions are the same, but obviously we don't have the nice big click wheel that you've got on it, and this is quite clumsy with gloves on, I've found. That minus button is particularly small and a bit difficult to manage. I will get used to it, I'm sure. The position on the helmet is totally different too, so my hand defaults to, and then I start feeling around for it. It is the thing that really appeals to me though, like it fits my head quite nicely, which is strange because in the past I've tried Shoei's and they haven't fitted that well, but this one did. I was tossing up between this and the Air I, and I ultimately chose the Shoei. The thing I do like is that the aperture seems to be a lot better for me. So I've got a couple of problems. I've got some bulge discs in my lower back that mean I don't like sitting in an upright riding position. I need to be crouched over with my spine opened up and share the load between my shoulders and my thighs and my back. But on the flip side of that is I've had a number of neck injuries and I can't tilt my head back very far. So I tend to stare out of the top of the aperture in the helmet. And with the Nolans and the AGVs that I've had in the past, that line of sight is right where the pin lock ends, and it tends to impede my vision a little bit. This does not. The pin lock's very wide, and I don't know whether it's the position of the aperture or the size of the aperture, but there's no impedance on my vision, so I can have my head comfortable and still be able to see very clearly. So I'm very happy with this choice of helmet so far. Like I said, I need to get used to using the comms unit a little bit better, which will come. It'll come with time. We're still weeks and months away from having any chance of getting the ST3 or the 900 back. I suspect I'll probably get the 900 back quicker, simply because I think that Gowanlock will be able to get hold of the parts a lot quicker than the ST3 parts that are going to be coming out of Italy. I mean, you can get reproduction decals, so yeah, we'll see how that ends up. But I suspect that I'll probably have the 900 by the end of February. I don't think I'll have the ST3 until well into March, if not the end of March. So yeah, flat out at the moment. I was a little bit disappointed when I watched the timber video, just watching my reaction. I spared no thought for poor old Nigel with his Benelli, the bike that it landed on. I did text him later and let him know that I'd listed his bike on the insurance claim and that I was terribly sorry, and that if there was anything that he found wrong with it, to please let us know. And so far he said it didn't do any damage. So all the damage that was done to my bike was from his frame slider and foot peg, and I think the rear foot peg as well. Now, on the subject of frame sliders, that's another thing that has come up. It's a very personal choice, and people will suggest that they've saved their fairings and what have you, and that's great. I don't want to use them. I don't particularly like A, the look of them, and 2, I have heard stories of people damaging their frames with them when they've come down. They might have saved their fairings but have bent frames. So yeah, I think the jury's out a little bit on the frame sliders. For me, certainly, I choose not to use them. You can go and argue all you like in the comments and banter that back and forward, but for me, I've made my mind up, and that's why you have insurance. So with the bike going down, I guess, and my reaction, I've had a bit of a rough start to the year. I mean, everyone's has a story, I know, but I guess for me it was, you know, like we're selling a house, we're buying a house, we're going through all of the stresses that are involved in the moving and dealing with conveyancing lawyers and mortgage brokers and real estate agents and mountains of paperwork and forms back and forward and contracts back and forward and all of that sort of detail. Then we dropped the ST3. Then we dropped the 900 Super Sport. My brother had a heart attack. He's okay. They inserted 2 stents into one of his arteries. He had about 90% blockage. There was no damage to the heart and all the rest of it, but all of that was happening about the same time. And as well as that, I've got an elderly aunt in a nursing home in Deception Bay in Brisbane, and she contracted COVID-19. She has Parkinson's disease. Apparently she's doing okay, so I'm a little bit more relieved there. But it was like straws on a camel's back, I guess. I do okay when I can compartmentalise things and deal with them as individual projects, but when it all starts to get mudded in together, that's when I stress out and I start to get anxiety. I've been able to keep it under control, so I'm pretty happy about that. But in the meantime, look, we'll just keep trying to bring you content as best as I can. I want to thank you all for watching. Thanks for being concerned, and don't forget to like, subscribe and comment if you haven't already. And I will catch you next time on Andy's Motorcycle Obsessions. Bye for now.